All right, we are recording Talking Fitness. This is our 50th episode, and I'm with the shadow, Mr. Dorian Yates.
What's up, Jason? How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much, sir, for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to me and come on the show.
No problem, man. My friend Linda Murray asked me, recommended you, so you must be cool if Linda says so.
Yeah, I was just the first thing I was going to mention was Linda. I said I owe her so much for this, and she's an awesome lady.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, she is. Next time you see her, I was messing with her about running for mayor of Detroit. So when you talk to her, say, "Hey, I heard you're running for mayor."
I think that would be a tough job.
Yeah, I think so too. So
not even American, and I know it's almost there.
Yeah, the reason why is because Ron Love, I interviewed him too, and I'm a police officer, and Ron was a police officer for a long time. So
yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, Ron's a cool guy, I think. Yeah,
yeah. So it was nice talking to him, and
yeah, I was out there once in Detroit for a show, and I trained at one of the original Powerhouse gyms, I think.
Yeah, that's where he trains at, I think.
Real proper old school hardcore gym. Yeah, that's the kind of gyms I like.
Yeah. How's my boy Gabriel doing?
Yeah, he's doing good. We trained together today. We did arms. He's heading back to Italy tomorrow. Unfortunately, he only could come for a couple of weeks. He's got to go back to Italy, and then before the Olympia, I think because you can't go directly from Europe to USA now, all this bullshit that's going on. So he got to go to Mexico and stay there for a little while before he goes into the States. But yeah, he's doing good, man. I mean, what an inspirational guy. He's always smiling. He was always in a good mood, and it's a pleasure to work with.
Yeah, he was one of my first guests when I started this. And you think he's going to take Harold Kelly this year?
Well, he's my boy, so I hope so. What happened last year is he was training with me, and he was a lot bigger, and I think he could have given the guy a run for his money. But with traveling and stress and so on, that was the first time that I worked with Gabriel. So I noticed, and I don't know if it's anything to do with his disability or anything, but his body reacts like super quickly. But it can go like he can gain weight or lose weight like rapidly, like almost in a few days. It's quite extraordinary. So if he has stress or he doesn't take in enough carbs or something like this, he can lose weight quite quickly. And I didn't see him for the last few weeks before the Olympia last time he competed, and he lost a lot of size. So he could have come in a lot bigger. And I'm gonna try and, even though I won't see him in person, I'm always there to advise him. So try to avoid that this time, and it'll be an interesting competition, because I think his shape and his proportion is maybe better than the gentleman that won. But he was, he was losing in the size game. So if he can come in bigger, then he's definitely got a chance.
Yeah, very good. Oh, by the way, this is Ryan. Ryan, I don't know.
Pleasure to meet you.
Hi, Brian. How you doing?
Awesome, man. Honor and privilege to meet you.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, definitely. By far, you have to be my my bodybuilding inspiration from the time I started, man.
Thanks. It's good to hear that. When people tell me that's the reason they went to the gym, that's great. That's great feedback. If I inspire people to do something positive, that's all. It makes me happy.
Yeah, I actually learned how to train by watching Blood and Guts.
Yeah, I just been on another podcast actually, when we were talking about that tape, and that was my purpose behind recording that tape and recording the way I did, like a fly on the wall,
right?
Realistic. So I wanted to show the real training, the real energy that goes into it, and inspire other people, get them psyched up to go in the gym and push themselves to the limit as well. So every time I hear that, it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. We would, before I even lifted a weight, I would go to my friend's house and we would pull up whatever body part we were training that day. We would put on the Blood and Guts part, and we would say, okay, well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go there, and that's how we're going to train. That's the movements we're going to do, because, he's the best in the world, and we're going to follow every single thing that he did and is doing. So,
yeah, you wouldn't know how many times I've heard the same story, that people watch that as like a pre-workout almost.
Yeah, that's
psyched up before they go to the gym.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was for us.
You're probably shouting at each other, "Come on, Diesel," as well. Like,
yeah.
That was that interview. Is that the one you did with Dennis?
No,
Dennis
I just
James?
did one right now with a strength platform, more like powerlifters and so on.
Okay.
But they recognize me because I was as a bodybuilder working with some pretty heavy weights as well. And we were talking about the tape and how many people had told me the same story. Like, I watched that every day before I went to the gym to get myself in the mood. And prior to that, I was quite disappointed when I watched other training videos. There weren't a lot around, but there were some few where you see the guys training, and it never really inspired me. I didn't get much from it, because I think the videos were always made from the point of view of the production company, where they want to have the right lighting and angles and stuff like that. And if you're going to do that, take 1 and 2 and whatever, you're not going to really do a genuine workout. So I got Kevin Horton, who was a photographer from the UK, to rent a film camera, because those days we didn't have like film cameras that you could buy from a store or something. It was like professional equipment only. So,
and they were huge, big stuff.
Yeah, big, huge cameras. We rented it, and I said, "Look, I just want you to film me. I don't want to speak to you. I don't want you to speak to me. I want you to film me, and I'm going to do the workout exactly as I do it normally. I don't want any interruption. I don't want any lights. I want this to be absolutely 100% genuine." And that, and also we filmed it in color. But when I was watching the playbacks, something just didn't seem right. And I asked him if you can switch this to black and white. And when he did, I was like, "Bam, okay, that's it. That's what I want," because it just looks more moody and darker and grainy in black and white.
Yeah, it definitely worked.
Yeah, this is very raw at its core. That's what
Yeah, I'm actually thinking right now to maybe reissue Blood and Guts in color because nobody's ever seen it in color before. So we might do that.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Get it, what's it called?
Yeah,
Digitally
you know, a new
remastered and
generation of
stuff.
people maybe that is introduced to it that didn't see it initially the first time around.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Even to this day, I play it in my gym. I have a gym here in Florida, and I put the video in the gym and let it just play on the TVs just because it inspired me so much. I thought that it could, just do the same to others, and it does. And people really get it. They love it still to this day.
Yeah, sometimes you got to turn the sound down a little bit. Oh.
Yeah, my wife and her clients are like, "What is that? What is that?" I was like,
Yes.
Diesel, come on.
Now, obviously,
it was a real training. I think the first time anyone had, filmed like real training.
Yeah. Now, all these interviews you've done, Dorian, and I don't know how often you get asked this, but what was your best interview? Who did you? Because you worked with Joe Rogan and Patrick David, all these different guys. I've seen all your interviews. Who did you like the most?
I think some of the interviews I did on London Real,
okay,
were great, and Rogan's was great as well. It was a lot of fun because we had, maybe some similarities, some similar views on stuff and so on that we could explore. And when I went to do the Rogan podcast, we didn't really speak before. He just said hi and just went straight into it. So obviously he'd done his research. And this guy, I think he does a podcast every day. So it's extraordinary that, he's able to do that and get such quality out.
Yeah, he's number one in podcasts.
Well, we were rapping for 3 hours and we just ran out of time because both of us, we could have kept talking for another couple of hours probably. I didn't realize the time just went by, and that's a sign of a good interview when you're not aware of the time. But yeah, all those ones were good, and I think Rogan's was particularly good because it introduced myself and bodybuilding to an audience that was not maybe familiar with that.
Yeah,
maybe he has a wider audience and a lot of people that follow martial arts and so on. So it was good that people got to see the person behind all these muscles and realize that we got more to say than talk about than just bodybuilding. Although I don't mind talking about bodybuilding, but I do have other views and interests, and that's what we explored. So that was great.
Yeah, and that's what I like talking about too. I like talking not just about bodybuilding, because I'm sure you've told your career probably 500 times. So
yeah, and I've done seminars all around the world and so on. So of course I love bodybuilding. It changed my life and it was a huge part of my life, but it doesn't define me as a person.
And talking on that, like, what else interests you when you were a kid other than bodybuilding? Like, if Dorian Yates wasn't a bodybuilder, what would you be?
I was quite interested in working with animals because I grew up on like a little farm and I loved animals. Wasn't a big farm. We didn't, just like a little farm. My mom used to teach horse riding, so we had a few horses. We had ducks and chickens and dogs and cats and stuff like that, and a little land. So I loved animals. So maybe I would have worked with animals because that was a passion. It still is in a way, but it's not a career, obviously. First thing I did when I finished bodybuilding was I went to Africa and I went on a few different trips and safaris out there, visited the mountain gorillas in Uganda, went on a safari. So that's one of my passions. I love animals, and I grew up around horses, which my sister took up horses. She became, she competes on the international level in dressage and so on. She has her own horses and stables. And, but I didn't particularly take it. I wanted to do Kung Fu, Bruce Lee, big Bruce Lee fan. I wanted to do Kung Fu and karate. And then that led to weights and bodybuilding. So yeah, who knows? I would have maybe been working with animals.
That'd have been cool.
Some degree.
You could have been the Steve Irwin, man. You could have been the croc hunter.
Maybe I could have been. Yeah, my mom used to call me Dr. Doolittle because I used to, have some ability to like somehow communicate with animals, and I think I still do, like with dogs and so on. And I just started horse riding again. I didn't ride a horse since I was like 13 when I was a kid, and I recently started again. And I love the horses. I love the spirit, the energy of the horses as well.
Yeah, I never was a horse guy, dog guy.
Yeah,
I was on the canine unit for a long time, so I work with shepherds a lot. So
Jason,
dogs are just like special because they're just full of love and it's unconditional.
yeah,
It doesn't matter, even if you kick your dog, it's still going to love you.
yeah, yep.
Jason, you live in Ocala now. Isn't Ocala like one of the biggest equestrian
Yeah,
places in all the world, right?
A lot of horse people here.
Yes.
Where is that?
Ocala, Florida.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marion County, we're the horse capital of the world.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of horses from that win the Kentucky Derby and stuff come from here.
Okay. Yeah, and like I said, my sister got about 8 or 9 horses, and she trains other horses. That's what my mom did. So it's kind of in the family, but I didn't take to it when I was a kid. I was like, I just want a motorbike because when you put the brakes on, it stops. A horse, not necessarily. It sometimes does what it wants. They're all different kind of personalities, like people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I like to be in control more. But as I got older now, I just fancy taking up again. So I'm doing a little bit again now.
Yeah. So you said you're back riding again?
Yeah, just like a year ago or something, I took my daughter to horse riding lessons, and I was riding myself, and the instructor was like, "You've ridden before." I'm like, "Yeah, but as a kid," and he's like, "Well, you can tell you still got the posture and everything right."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, enjoying this. I think not going to do it seriously or anything, but I like to explore different things. When I was bodybuilding, it was very one-dimensional. That's all I did.
Mm-hmm.
Which if you want to be the best at something in the world, that's what you got to do. But I like to do different kind of activities and so on. Now I ride a bike. I do some hiking. I do yoga. I do Pilates. Bit of swimming sometimes. So I love physical activities of any kind, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now you said you were telling somebody, did you injure yourself? You wrecked your bike or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because there's mountains here in Spain where I live. So I got up and down the mountains. It's great cardio, beautiful weather, scenery. It's great. And I never had a problem. And then one day I was riding on the flat, coming across this wooden bridge, and there was something on the bridge that was slippy. I don't know what it was, but it was like oil or something. And the bike went up in the air, and I must have landed and put my hand out to stop the fall and totally dislocated my shoulder. So it tore like 3 tendons and the ligament and everything.
Wow.
So surgery was recommended, but I kind of avoided it. I did a lot of rehab stuff to strengthen it and so on. It's not 100%, but it's pretty good now. I can do, I can't lift heavy weights. My left shoulder was already damaged anyway, so I haven't trained heavily for years. But I can do most things, and I can do the yoga. I can do my biking. I can do lightweight training. So, after a career at the top, you're going to have some injuries, and it's not so bad. I'm mobile and flexible and so on from all the yoga and stuff I do.
Yeah. Do you remember this guy here?
I can't see. The screen's too small.
Hey, long time no see. How are you, sir?
I still can't see it.
Put him on the big screen, Jason.
Let me see.
So blow him up.
All right. He's got to talk.
There's a guy with no hair. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's me. Last time I seen you was 98 Hour Classic, Dorian.
Ah, Ian, what's up, mate?
How
you doing? You still got that Leeds accent, mate.
Oh yeah, I haven't lost it. I've
got
been
rid of
here
that,
for a while, but I've still got my Leeds accent.
I'm like a chameleon, mate. If I spend 6 months in the States, I'll be speaking like I'm from the States, so I adapt like where I go, you know.
Yeah.
So where are you?
I'm in Florida.
Okay. Everyone's in Florida now, eh?
Yeah,
We're all Florida boys.
Plus, I hear you got more freedom out there with all this, lockdown and masks and all this. I'm just going to say bullshit because we could talk about this for hours.
Yeah, we got a good governor.
Yeah, I heard. They're having a lot of shows down there.
Yeah, everything's going to move into Florida. I mean,
Steve Weinberger told me that he has his New York Pro Show down there and the Olympia's there and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to come to the Olympia, but we got this Arnold Sports Festival in UK is a week before.
Oh,
And in order to get into the US now from Europe, you can't come directly. You got to go somewhere else, like, I don't know, like Mexico or something for 2 weeks and then come in from there. So I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm going to be in UK a week before, unless they change the regulations or something. I don't know. I hope they do, but I probably won't.
right.
Yeah, they're trying to scare everybody now, saying this stuff is increasing, and
Well, what's happening now is you got the people that had the vaccine are going to get sick, and
Yeah.
they'll call that a new variant or a new wave. But it's actually people having a vaccine are going to get sick. It's already happening.
Yeah.
So that's the plan.
World's gone mad. World's gone mad.
Yep.
Yeah, well, it seems it's gone mad, but it's this kind of change of society has been planned for a long time, and the virus is just a way of, like a Trojan horse, of bringing it in and locking people down and taking away their liberties and eventually changing the financial system. That's what's in the making.
Yeah. How is it over there in Spain?
It's not too bad at the moment. I mean, we had a harsh lockdown when it was, when the whole thing started. It was 2 months where you couldn't, all the gyms were closed. Only things open was really supermarkets and gas stations. And that's where you're allowed to go, like to the gas station, to the supermarket. And there were police on the streets to enforce that as well. So it was really harsh. Unfortunately, I live on the beach, so I was able to get out on the beach and just go for some walks and stuff, because even that was not allowed. So it was very harsh. Now it's almost normal, a lot of places still requiring to wear masks, and I just don't tolerate that. I just won't go there. I'll just avoid places that insist on wearing a mask, because it's fucking pointless and not good for your health. And it's a symbol of, like, I'd say it's like a symbol of oppression. That's the way I look at it. And so I just choose to not go to places where they insist on a mask. But you can go to the gym, no mask. Restaurants mostly are okay. And I think the nightclubs are opened up again now, but they're closed earlier. So it's 90% normal, but how long it's going to stay like that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, Dorian, do you still have your gym in Spain, or is that no go anymore?
I was involved in, I was going to open a gym here with some people, but it's a long story that didn't turn out well. So I got out of it. And the gym that the building that I was going to have the gym in is somebody else running it now. And that's where I work out when I'm working out. And I train a few people there as well. So it's not my gym, but there is a gym that I use. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, gym is a tough business, man.
Yeah.
Don't you have your own supplement company now, Dorian?
Sorry?
You have your own supplement company now?
Yeah, it's going very well now. I got some new investors, so we've upped everything, and we're doing really well in Middle East and in Europe, and we got huge demand from the States as well, and we're looking to do manufacturing over there, because it's not practical to manufacture in Europe and ship to the States, and also the FDA is doesn't make it very easy. So hopefully we'll get that up and running early next year for the States and Canada, because I get thousands of requests for products in the US. But again, the situation that happened with the lockdown and everything, it put a spanner in the works of every business. You know, all the manufacturers were shut down. Even the raw material suppliers were shut down. So we're kind of just getting back on an even keel now. And hopefully they don't shut things down again.
What sort of products do you do?
We do, like, we've got two ranges. We've got one which is a shadow line. So that's more like hardcore bodybuilding range. And then we've got one called Renew, which is a bit more mainstream. So we've got, like, you know, fish oils, different minerals, vitamin products. We've got individual sachet products and a vegan protein. We're going to do CBD. So we've got the shadow line, which is more hardcore bodybuilding line, if you like. And then the Renew is more like, really like what I'm interested in now. It's more like health and wellness. So it's almost, you know, there's two Dorians almost, like the old Dorian that was Mr. Olympia, the hardcore bodybuilder, and the Dorian now that's nearly 60 years old and interested in being healthy and wellness and different kinds of fitness and so on. So it's more of a mainstream line.
I think you have to evolve as you get older, though, don't you, mate? I mean, after what we put our bodies through, you know, it's not good for you, really, is it, long term?
No, I mean, you know, like going to the gym and lifting weights and getting stronger and eating a good diet, that's good for you. But competitive bodybuilding is a competitive sport.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any competitive sport that's really good for you?
No.
That's not the point. The point is it's a competition, and pushing your body to an extreme in any direction. You know, competitive marathon running is not good for you.
No, I agree.
You know, competitive endurance sports are not good for you. They're aging your body. They're producing free radicals, damaging your joints. But they're a competition, and if you enjoy it and it's your career, great. But competitive sports and doing exercise or sports for fitness and wellness and longevity is two totally different things.
I agree.
That's what people need to realize. Competitive bodybuilding, eating 6 meals a day, tons of calories and carbohydrates and high protein is not particularly good for you. Taking large amounts of male hormones is not particularly good for you, but that's what's required in order to compete. So it is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
I don't have any regrets that I did it. It was great experience, and it changed the trajectory of my life. And you know, I became the best in the world at what I was doing. So it's great, but there's a time and a place. And I think it's ridiculous when people asking me, like, I mean, they're kids, so maybe they don't understand, but like, oh, don't you miss being like 300 pounds? I'm fucking 60 years old, man. Why do I want to be 300 pounds? Give myself a heart attack, you know? You know, I want to be mobile. I want to be flexible. I want to be cardiovascular fit. I want to be playing with my grandchildren when I'm 70 years old. I don't want to be like struggling to get out of bed in the morning because my joints are screwed up and my spine's knackered, and, you know, or I'm, you know, got high blood pressure or something like this. It's not where I'm at right now.
Yeah, every season has a shift, and
yeah, you gotta know when to adapt and change lanes. You know, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know that because they get comfortable being this person of who they are and identifying with being, oh, I'm Mr. Olympia, or I'm this champion. That's great that you achieved that, but you know, there's more to life as well. And more things to explore in life, or you become just one-dimensional.
How long you been doing yoga now? Sorry, bro.
I've been doing yoga for about 5 or 6 years. I mean, I used to go to a osteopath or a chiropractor once or twice a month. Not because I was really bad, but I always have a bit of tightness or a bit of pain in my back or something like that. So I'd go and get adjusted and everything. And one day I was with an osteopath, and he's like, he was talking about like how he used to spend so much time sitting down in a squat position, you know, around the campfire when we were fucking hunter gatherers and sitting in a squat, and you see these ladies in India doing the washing, they're sitting in a squat, like they're there for hours, right? He said, when we used to sit in a squat like that all the time, we didn't really have back problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this conversation, and then it's like, have you ever thought about doing yoga? I was like, that's funny, you know, I was thinking about that, but I don't know too much about it. So I bought a book on yoga, and I went home and I tried to sit down in a squat. I mean, I used to sit ass to the floor squat, like 400 or 500 pounds on the barbell. And I'm like, shit, this is really tight now. I can't get in a full squat and be comfortable. So I need to fix this up. I need to fix. Then I found a yoga teacher. I started doing yoga, and you know, my flexibility was pretty good because I was one of the few bodybuilders that always stretch, especially my legs. Core legs, I used to do the hamstring stretches, hurdler stretch and stuff because I saw Tom Platz doing it. So my flexibility in my quads and hamstrings was okay, but my shoulders was like, you know, stiff as a tin man. And I couldn't turn. I couldn't even turn like in the car to like, you know, to look. I used to look in the mirror because I couldn't turn around. I had no mobility in the spine.
Mm-hmm.
So all these things I worked on, and you know, I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy improving on things. And as far as bodybuilding goes or lifting weights, I couldn't improve on what I did. I peaked out already. So yoga is something I can do for the rest of my life, and I'll always be able to get better. There's no limit there. Right. So I do yoga once or twice a week. I do Pilates maybe once a week. I do some mountain biking. And I do a little bit in the gym, a little bit of light weights and functional movements, but nothing very heavy.
Yeah. Do you think more bodybuilders should do yoga, or is it just kind of too hard when you're big?
I think it would be good to yoga and Pilates is good to keep your mobility and probably less risk of injury, and may be helpful in the recovery from the workouts as well. But I mean, you couldn't tell 30-year-old Dorian Yates to do yoga. It would be like, the fuck, man. That's some you know? I remember years ago seeing Jay Cutler doing Pilates, and I was thinking, what the fuck is he doing? It's for women. You know, I still had that attitude to a point. But, you know, you live and you learn, and your perspectives change.
Yeah, that's one thing that I actually, even at my right when I was my biggest, around the 300 mark, I would do some yoga. I remember the first time doing it, I thought I was about to die. I also learned one thing really, really important. I realized how bad my breathing was, being so large. I was trying to hold each pose, and it just was. I realized how you know, in shape I was for one thing, but how overall out of shape I actually was. So it really opened my eyes at a, you know.
I was still fairly big when I first did my first yoga class. I was about 260, you know, and I was still training legs pretty heavy and everything like that. My quads were really big still. And I had a lunge pose. Mm-hmm. The teacher was having me hold. You know, I'm leg pressing a fucking 1,000 pounds, man. The lunge pose should be nothing. But I'm there and I'm holding it. I'm thinking, how long I'm holding it. My legs started shaking, and boom, I dropped on the floor.
Yeah.
You know, the yoga teacher looked at me and she said, Dorian. I was like, shit, yeah. It's like, it's a whole different, you know, your body adapts and gets good at whatever you're doing. So I had great power because that's what I did. But my mobility and my balance was shitty. I couldn't stand on one leg without falling over. It was pissing me off. You know, I was like trying to stand on one leg and I was falling over, and I was like, fuck. And she was like, Dorian, fuck is not a yoga word. What you got to do is you got to stop trying. You know, you got to stop trying and force, because that's what I was, you know, like force all the time. You got to, in yoga, you got to relax and you got to breathe, and then it becomes easier. If you're like all tense and, you know, you're trying too hard all the time, it becomes harder. You know, you're more likely to fall over. You got to like relax and breathe. So it was great learning something new. I like learning different things. I'm doing some horse riding now. I did as a kid. But I'm doing it now because I enjoy it and it's a challenge. And I used to ride a bike everywhere when I was a kid. And when I ride a bike now, I'm going up the mountains and along the beach and stuff. I feel like I'm a kid again, you know, and you get to see so much on a bike that you would never see sitting in a car. You just drive past stuff and you stay on the main highways because you want to get from A to B. So I, go out on my bike and explore. So it's physical, but it's mental as well.
Yeah, I think it's great that showing you how you've evolved over the years. But how did you make that transition, that first transition from Dorian Yates, like the best of the best in the world, to the Dorian that you've became over the years? How did that transition, that initial transition go? Because I'd imagine it'd be like almost a death happening.
It was gradual, but one of the things that I think kickstarted was my experience with psychedelics.
Right.
Because it just broke down like all the barriers, all the boxes around me, and I was able to see things from different angles. And I saw that I was living life in a kind of a one-dimensional way. And I didn't need to do that anymore.
Right.
It was necessary at some point. But it becomes a habit, and if you're good at it and you're comfortable and you go to the gym and you're good at that and you're comfortable there and everyone knows you there, then you kind of stay there. But you constantly need some challenges in life. So you need to do different things and to be a bit uncomfortable sometimes. And I like to go and do things and leave my ego at the door. Like, doesn't matter if I'm no good at it. There's really, like yoga is really no competition. It's like, oh, are you good at yoga? It's not a fucking competition. It's not a sport. It's kind of it's a practice that helps you physically. Yes, it helps your flexibility and mobility, but it helps you with your breathing. It helps you with it's like a meditation practice as well. So it's helping your mind. So I like to explore different avenues. At one point, I was even doing jiu-jitsu and wrestling, but it was too hard. I tore my supraspinatus. My tendons are probably not in great shape from all the heavy lifting I did over the years. So that wasn't the best choice, but I like to try it. I like to try different things because I was so one-dimensional. I wouldn't allow myself to do anything when I was bodybuilding. I'd play a game of pool or something like that because it was non-physical, but I wouldn't like attempt to do any other sports.
Gotcha. At what point did you say the experimentation with the psychedelics? At what point did you feel like your spirit, like wanting to pull something out of the inside of you? Was there an incident that's happened to you that made you start thinking, from this other perspective?
Yeah, I just saw that like what we experience, the reality that we experience through is everything that is coming to our five senses.
Right.
That's how you experience reality. But I saw that there was much more outside of that. And I think after one of my experiences as well, I was like, man, your body's all fucked up. You need to sort this out. And that's one of the other reasons that I started to do yoga and look at different ways of working with the body. Because it's the vehicle you've got, right?
Yeah.
You experience life, reality through your five senses, and the vehicle that you've got for life is your body. So if your vehicle is messed up and is not working very well, then your experience is not going to be so great. So I started to see like I have a totally different attitude where when I was younger, my mind would tell my body what to do. And if my body didn't like it, it was like, fuck you, you're going to do it. It's just sheer force of will. And that worked, but it also created some damage. And now I'm being like listening to my body and being understanding and working with it and having respect for it because it's the only one I've got. So it's got some dents, some bumps and dents maybe, but fortunately it's in pretty good shape.
All right.
Dorian, have you thought about writing a book, or you haven't wrote a book, have you?
Mm-hmm.
I got 3 books, man. I got 2 from when I was bodybuilding, Blood and Guts and Warrior Story, and recently published an autobiography which is
Okay.
pretty much up to date. That's from the Shadow. You can get that from Amazon, and you can get it from DY Nutrition as well if you're in our shipping zone, which is Europe and Middle East.
Mhm.
You can get it
That-
on Amazon as well. You can
that-
get ebooks or physical books.
Okay. All right.
I'm thinking about doing an audio book as well, because everyone keeps asking me if I will do an audio book, because you're all lazy fuckers now. You don't want to read. You just want to...
Pretty much.
Everybody wants to go on Spotify now and listen to it or something like that.
Yeah, I never got into that. I like having a book in my hands, and maybe
Mhm.
I've always been a reader, since I was a kid. So I like having the book and so on. But I get it. It's easier to listen to the book, much quicker as well.
Yeah. Now, have you wrote down because you said you wrote down all your workouts and stuff like that. Have you put that in the book yet or no?
No, there's some extracts in the book, and there's a diary that you can buy. I think it's from, I'm not sure what years it was, but there's like 4 or 5 years in a diary that is been published, and it's on Amazon as well.
Mhm.
So it's just like my notebooks with all the weights and everything, and notes that I made and so on. Yeah, I've got every single workout written down from 83 to 97, like all the exercises, the weights, the reps, and any little notes that I made and stuff like that. So, it was like almost like my own kind of project, if you like, own experiment.
Yeah. And when you train guys today, you have them write down their workouts too?
I advise them to do that, yeah, because you need to have a plan, and you need to have steps and goals. So if you write your workout down, what you did on legs this week, and you did squats 400 pounds for 10 reps, then when you go into the gym next week, you've got a goal that you need to try and beat. You want to beat the last workout. So it becomes a very powerful tool that you sit down and say, this is what I did last week. And now I got a goal going into the gym. Everything's in the end everything is mental, it's about visualization and giving yourself goals. And if you don't have that when you go in the gym, you got no firm goal. You're not really going to push to that limit because you don't know where that limit is. So I find it a very useful tool, and I advise people to do that. And you can see, like, if you've got a training regime or a diet or a steroid stack or whatever it is, you write it down and you log your results, and then you make a change. And I tell people, don't make more than one change at one time. Make a change. Try this. Is it positive? Did you get something from it, or did you not? If it was not a positive, like, throw it out, forget about it, don't use it again. If it's positive, you keep it in. And that is the way that you get a plan that works. For instance, like talking about anabolics, my plan for the Mr. Olympia never changed over all those 6 years, what I was going to do 3 months before the contest, because I already refined it, like by trying different things in the past and keeping notes and seeing what worked, what didn't work, what did this, what made me hold water, what didn't, etc., etc. So in the end, you refine it down to a game plan.
Now, with your training, you were heavy or go home back when you were training. Do you still believe that's needed to get big?
Absolutely. I mean, it's the quickest way. A bigger muscle is a stronger muscle. A stronger muscle is a bigger muscle. It's pretty basic. You got to train intensely. You got to push. You got to recover from that stress. Although the one thing that I advise people now, training for contests, is not to push to that limit where you're going to failure or beyond failure the last 2 months before the contest, for a couple of reasons. First of all, you're not taking in sufficient calories really to build any muscle mass. You're more like, your focus should be more on maintaining that muscle mass and reducing the body fat down. And because your body fat's getting lower, and I used to be very lean quite early before a contest, like 5 or 6 weeks out, I'd be almost, I would be at present day contest shape 5 or 6 weeks out. And the 2 injuries that I had that were really serious injuries was a bicep tear. I did that 6 weeks out from '94 Olympia, and a tricep tendon rupture that I did 3 weeks out from the 97 Olympia, because I was still training like a madman. In my mind, I was like, I can't like reduce the poundages, because if I reduce the poundages, I'm going to get smaller. Not necessarily so. Once you've got the muscle there, you can go back a notch and just maintain it. It's easy to maintain. It's not easy to build in the first place. So I advise people now to back off on intensity the last 6 to 8 weeks and just train a little bit short of going to failure to be safer. But other than that, the principles still apply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your notorious black and white pictures, those were about 6 weeks out, correct?
Yeah, 6 weeks out. Yeah, 270, I think I was in those pictures.
Yeah, and those will dominate any stage at any time. Like at this time, definitely by far.
You said it, man.
Yeah, man, that's true, real conditioning. And nowadays, the guys I truly believe that they're void of the work ethic. It's just not there.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if like the bar has been lowered as far as like what's acceptable as a contest condition. Yeah, the guys are coming in a bit bigger and rounder and fuller, but yeah, we could have done that back in the day if we were like not getting into that razor sharp conditioning. I was always like, I want to be as big as possible, but I want to combine that with like conditioning of a fucking lightweight. You know, I want to freak people out on both levels, size and conditioning. Although that condition and look that I had in the black and white pictures, I really like that. That's incredible. But still, I wanted to be sharper and drier on stage, and that was the standard back then. Now it's less. You know, I don't want to sound like an old guy saying, "Oh, it was better in my day," because I heard that from the guys that came before me.
Right.
But the reality is, it was better. You know, it's definitely as far as conditioning. So if you know that the level's here and you don't need to go that extra mile, then you're probably not going to do it.
No.
If guys start turning up on stage, they're ripped to shit, you might think, well, you know, I've got to pull out all the stops now and do that. You know, the whole landscape has changed because there's a whole industry now of like with YouTube and Instagram and that, people making a living, making a career, making a name without necessarily even doing a competition. Where as before, when me and Ian were competing, you got to win a competition to get in a magazine, and the magazine's the only way to reach the public and to get publicity, and then to possibly be able to get some sponsorship and make some money, or, you know, and turn pro, you need to get it in the magazines. So I think it was, in a way, it was much more competitive.
Yeah.
Because you had all these people like funneling all into one direction. Now it's like many different avenues you can go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that also pushed the guys at that time to have to work harder to get that recognition. So
yeah, and then you got this crazy guy from England locked in a basement, you know, is, you know, like Kevin Levrone and guys like that. They tell me they're like we had to push ourselves to be even better because we knew you were coming. So, you know, the bar is going up,
right.
But that doesn't really happen now. I mean, some guys are coming in shape. I like Flex Lewis's shape that he competes in the 210s. He comes in shredded and hard.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm a little removed from what's going on maybe in the competition. So I said to Flex, like, bro, why aren't the guys in shape anymore? You're in shape, but why is the guys, generally speaking, they're not really in shape anymore? It's like, they're a bunch of lazy bastards. So
Right.
that was his take on the situation.
Mm-hmm. Dorian, what was your heaviest weight?
Around 310.
Wow.
Yeah, not comfortable. Not
no,
flexible.
I was gonna say that just whew,
strong as fuck in the gym, but
Right.
Apart from that, not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really feel that great. Can't tie your shoelaces. Not good for anything apart from lifting weights and, you know, standing on stage and looking like a freak.
Yeah. Does
When you
the
said-
Olympia committee, does any of them ever reach out to you anymore for anything or no?
I'm still in touch with Steve Weinberger, who's head judge a lot now, and of course he runs a lot of shows and everything. We were friends right when I was competing, and by the way, people used to say, "Oh, he's friends with Steve." Steve was never a judge. Bev Francis was never a judge on any of my competitions because we were friends. So it would be a conflict of interest. So they eliminated themselves from the process when I was competing. But we still stay in touch now and then. And I meet up with guys at expos and competitions and stuff like that. But not on a, not really on a regular basis. I'm living my life, so they're living theirs, and we meet from time to time. That's pretty much it.
When you said earlier about the bar being dropped, what do you feel about all the way they're giving pro status out now? I mean, when me and you competed, it was one person from England. Yeah, the overall British champion got the pro card.
Absolutely. Well, everybody wants to be a pro. And I don't know, there's 101 shows now where you can get a pro card, and there's so many pros, so to speak. And of course, it's business, right? As a pro, you have to pay fees every year to be a pro. So there's a lot of money coming in from all these pros, but I think it devalues the status. And really, if you're a pro bodybuilder, that should mean, pro means professional. That should mean that you're making your living solely from competitive bodybuilding. That's a pro bodybuilder in my mind. It used to be one guy in UK, used to be 4 weight classes. You have the winner of each weight class, have a pose down to see who's the #1 in the country, and there'll be one pro card a year, and it was valued. Now I think you can get a pro card on the back of a box of cornflakes.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, most pros, a lot of the guys that you see, if you see them in the gym, a lot of them you wouldn't even realize that they were a pro unless they told you.
Yeah, but again, there's a whole industry out there, right, of coaching people, training people, YouTube channels, Instagram, and being pro. It's another stripe on his shoulder. It gives you some status, I suppose. IFBB pro, and that gives you some status. Maybe it helps you with all the other stuff that you're doing. So that's the purpose behind it. But yeah, I believe it devalues the status. And also, when they came out with this amateur Olympia,
Right.
It just seems like a contradiction in terms to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the Olympia is the Olympia. It's the pinnacle. Just call it something else, because it devalues the Olympia brand as well by having an amateur Mr. Olympia. I remember when I moved out here to Spain and people were saying, "Oh, you're Mr. Olympia." I was like, yeah. "Oh, yeah, I know a Mr. Olympia, so-and-so from Spain." I'm like, no, there's never been a Mr. Olympia from Spain in the history of Mr. Olympia. There's never been one from Spain. No, he's from here, and this is his name. I'll show you. Yeah, he's amateur Mr. Olympia, so it gets confusing for people. There should be only one Mr. Olympia, in my opinion, and that's the best bodybuilder in the world that year. One person, Mr. Olympia.
Agreed.
I agree. Well, cool.
How do you eat now, Dorian? Now that you're not bodybuilding, now that you're just looking at health and wellness, what's the
Well, I went through 4 years where I was mainly plant-based. I was eating a bit of eggs and sometimes fish, but I was more or less kind of vegetarian. And I lost muscle size, but I didn't really care because I was doing biking and yoga, and the size was more like just getting in the way. So I had no ego about it. I didn't really care. And then when I injured myself, I fell off the bike. I just had a feeling that for me to recover from a tendon injury and ligament injury, I needed more protein. And so I put protein back in my diet from organic sources, because part of the reason I was plant-based was, 1, for health reasons, and 2 was for spiritual and environmental reasons. So I'm careful with the animal products that I eat, that they're organic and everything like that, free range. And it's funny because I wasn't training. I was just rehabbing my shoulder. So I wasn't training. I was just doing some cardio and rehabbing my shoulder. And people were like, whoa, are you training again? You look bigger. I literally put on like 8 or 9 pounds in 2 weeks, and all of it was muscle, just because I put more protein in my diet, because I guess I was protein starved. I was not even caring. I was probably eating 60, 70 grams of protein a day. And I think I was in a catabolic state. So I look, people keep saying to me, what happened to you? You do something, you look younger, you look better. I was like, no, I just changed my diet, because I was looking kind of drawn on this diet and everything. So it was an experiment, and it was good, but probably for me, for my body type, it wasn't the best choice. So now I got protein foods in there, and I eat only twice a day. So I do intermittent fasting. I don't eat anything in the morning. I probably eat from 2 till 10. I have 2 meals and maybe like 1 smoothie or a juice or something like that. So that's it. And I believe intermittent fasting is quite good for your, for your cells and everything. I think it's probably the healthiest way to eat. Eating 6 times a day and calories all the time and everything is not, again, it's not healthy. You're spiking your insulin all day long, and your blood sugar is going up and down, and this is not good for your arteries and your blood vessels and so on. So as a bodybuilder, everything we do to build muscle, I made a comment the other day just because I saw it on Kai Green's page. He posted this guy about longevity and diet, and that eating frequently is aging your cells. So I just made the point. I was like, you've got a diet that's optimal for building muscle, and you may have a diet that's optimal for health, but they're not necessarily the same thing.
Right.
So it depends what your goals are and where you're at. Like, if you're purely wanting to build muscle and you want to compete in bodybuilding contests, eating twice a day wouldn't be the best way to go. Right. But that's not where I'm at right now. I'm trying to look after my health, and I think that's the best way to eat, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's just prioritizing life and where you're at the time.
Exactly. And you want to eat 6 times a day in bodybuilder, I understand that's where I was at, but I'm just not there right now.
Yeah, no.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not something to do forever, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You mentioned Kai. What's your opinion? Is he going to compete?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to him. I don't know if he's talking about competing. He seems to have carved a niche out. He's doing some movies. Mm-hmm. Got his big following on social media. I don't think he needs to compete. I don't think he probably will compete. He might make rumors now and then just for the publicity, but I don't think he's got intention of competing. And I think that ship has probably sailed now.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Are you, is Spain where you plan on staying? Was that where you guys are going to?
Good question. That just depends how the whole world situation develops. Mm-hmm. I think. I'm not interested in going back to UK. Mm-hmm. The weather sucks. Mm-hmm. The atmosphere sucks. I don't know if you've been home lately, Ian, but I'm guessing you probably won't want to leave Florida to go back to Leeds.
No, not at all.
So my wife's from Brazil. So we go to Brazil sometimes, visit Brazil. I'm going to Costa Rica next week. So I don't know. I'm just going to see. I like it here if everything is normal. But, writing's on the wall for big changes. So I'm just going to keep an eye out and see what happens. I don't know. Maybe I'll move to Florida.
Yeah,
that's great.
I'm not even joking. I mean, if it stays like the way it is.
Well, if you like horses, come here.
I like horses. I like good weather. It's a bit humid sometimes down there, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Experience.
No, you probably like the Gulf Coast. The coast of the Gulf Coast of Florida is actually really beautiful. If you like being on the sea like you're at now, it's beautiful there.
What's the main cities down there?
There's what, Cape Coral, Sarasota.
Like St. Pete. That's a nice area. Yeah.
All right. Oh, maybe I'll come out and visit. And you know, a lot of people thinking now going to Mexico.
Really?
Because Mexican president has basically said, "Fuck this bullshit. We're not doing it."
Right. Good.
So signs are good for Mexico. It'll be good for them. Probably get a lot of people moving there.
Huh.
And you know, south of the border there is looking good. The only thing is, I got a son. My son Lewis is 37. He's in the UK, and my daughter Tani is 20. She's in the UK. But both of them would like to leave the UK eventually as well. I think that's the thing now. I think
the UK is going through a lockdown too. Again.
Well, it's been through a lot of stuff. And you know, the writing's on the wall that they'll lock down again and lock the gyms down again and all this stuff. So it's constantly shifting, you know, the situation. So I'm just keeping an eye on it, and I'll react. But at the moment, I'm happy in Spain, as long as things stay the way they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen some of your videos. It's beautiful there.
Yeah, it's like LA without all the overcrowding and the crime and the pollution. Basically, it's a smaller town, and a lot of British people here. So English is like really the first language here almost.
Oh, really?
I don't even speak Spanish properly. I mean, I can speak a little bit, but I can't speak fluently. So
how's the government there? Do they have police departments and stuff there? How does that work?
Oh yeah, the police here are not
they're not bad.
the best, to be honest.
They're not the best.
And taxation is pretty high. So you got some negatives, and pace is a bit slow. Infrastructure's pretty inefficient, but it's a beautiful spot. So the positives always outweighing the negatives. You know, everywhere you go, you got both, right? So positive, negative. UK is very organized with a great infrastructure and efficiency, but the weather's shitty, and the general atmosphere is not that great. Every time I go back, I just feel the energy of people just not happy and pissed off. So it's not good to be around.
It seems to be a common trend in cities that are real gloomy and overcasty. It seems like there's a heavier depression, and there's just a little
and more alcohol use and drug use because you're trying to escape your environment.
Right.
I can imagine their suicide rate's probably going to be up.
Yeah, well, anywhere where there's less light, actually.
Yeah.
If you look like Siberia and places in the north where there's less light, there's more depression, there's more alcohol abuse, there's more suicide, because it's important to get sunlight and light to your brain. It affects your mood. So I love being in Spain. I love going out in the sun every day. In UK, you might get a few weeks of good weather. And when you're there and you're accustomed to it, you don't know anything different. But once you get out and you spend the time out of there, you don't want to go back to it. You know, I got good friends there and family and stuff, so I'd like to go visit for a while. But I couldn't live in that kind of damp, cloudy, rainy atmosphere anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
I thought that's the best thing I ever did was move out to Florida.
Yeah, probably put a good few years on your life expectancy just being in that environment, being in the sun, and you get better food. Like, I didn't really like vegetables and fruit when I was in England because it didn't taste good. Then I came out here and I was like, wow, this is how it's supposed to taste. Yeah, it's not from a packet, right? You know, a lot of fruits and stuff out here, they're fresh. So in England, they're all imported. So it's not the same.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Dorian, I know you were limited on time and we went over on your time.
Yeah, I got another call, man. I got a busy evening, but
I really appreciate it. I mean,
you know, who knows, we can do it another time. And
I'll definitely take you up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I have a long list of questions.
Good catching up with you, Ian.
Yeah,
All right.
to see you, mate, after all these years.
Which part of Florida are you in?
I'm near Tampa. I'm not far from Tampa at all.
Okay, I heard Tampa's quite nice.
Tampa's beautiful.
Yeah.
I live in the middle of nowhere in a place called Mayaca City. I'm 30 miles from the closest gas station.
Have you got a gym out there?
I've got a gym at my house.
Okay, nice.
Come over and visit. You're more than welcome anytime, mate. It'd be great to see you after all these
Hey,
years.
if I come out to Florida, I'm checking you all out. I'm going to do a little recce down there as a possible escape route.
Definitely.
Great seeing you, mate.
All right, guys. Have a
All
good
right.
one.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Bye.
Have a good evening.